everyone, to our first episode of Racing No Filters here on GoRacingTV. Joining me in Germantown, Tennessee is Jim Daniels and Mike Collins out in Mount Airy, Maryland. How you doing, gentlemen?
Wonderful. Doing great. Thanks, Errol.
Good. So, bunch of new things for 2012, and right away, we kind of talk about our show off camera about the topics that we're going to bring up, and right away, Mike, you were very feverishly interested in talking about this new rule from SCCA in reference to car count.
I love talking about the SCCA and car count. You know what? I'm not certain what level of math the board of directors graduated from, but, I learned how to count cars by the time I was out of about 5th grade. And I'd love to know what they got cooking to come up with how they're going to qualify cars for the runoffs.
Well, it's interesting. They always come up with like some new formula every 2 years, and I have to say, I too am baffled as to how they came up with this.
They got a couple things going on. So the first thing they did recently, and I think everybody's heard about it, is they rescinded the 2.5 rule. Used to be you had to have at least 2.5 cars. But where the hell did they come up with a half a car? Okay, but we'll give them the half a car. So they rescind the 2.5.
That's one of your rentals.
Yeah, one of the rentals. So they rescind the 2.5 rule so that maybe the chairman of the board can continue to race nationals, because he was racing in one of those classes that just wasn't going to get to stick around. I was there when they swore they were going to uphold this. This is the way they're going to clean it up, reduce national car count. So what do? Let them back in, and they add a class. So now we've got another national class. They had STL. Let's make bad things worse. Right, let's make bad things worse. They're going to
Decade in and out, Mike. Decade in and out. Every time a new regime comes in of volunteers that's needed to run the club, we understand that. You get a whole new set of rules and cronyism and favoritism. That is the sole reason.
In the SCCA?
The sole reason.
That's all it is.
No, there's no cronyism in the SCCA.
The sole reason that we have a NASA, thank goodness, is as a result of the same angers that we see year in and year out with no consistency.
So they decide to throw the SCCA bone. They're going to say, okay, we really want people to participate in the runoffs. So now you can race 4 races, the minimum number of races, and either finish top 3 in your division or get in on points based on half the points total from the previous year, or they throw you a bone. You can race 8 races and you're qualified. Other than Spec Miata and Spec Racer Ford, would either of you gentlemen like to tell me exactly how many cars didn't qualify for the runoffs who raced 4 races?
I would say it's a very low number, because you've excluded the 2 classes that keeps the club open, Spec Miata and Spec Racer Ford. So
18 cars that did not qualify for the runoffs who raced 4 races. 4 of them are Formula Vs, which is a pretty robust national class. And the rest of them are all onesies or twosies from the various different classes. So only 18 cars in the country didn't make it in 4 races when you exclude Spec Miata and Spec Racer Ford.
So someone had to sit and think, we need to come up for a way for those 18 cars to make the runoffs.
8 races? Any one of them would have ran a 5th race they would have been in. A 5th race and they would have been in. Wait, 8 races? Okay, do you know how many Spec Miatas and Spec Racer Fords ran 4 races, 4 national races, and were not qualified?
Oh, it's going to be a huge number. Give it to us.
165.
Wow.
Some divisions don't have 8 national races. Where do they think they're going to get these 8 national races from? I think they put stuff in writing so they can feel good about themselves without once actually looking at what their membership is doing. Do these people even remember the cars race around the track, and that's why we allow them to get together for social hour?
Yeah. If you look at the Midwest schedule, there's no way to obtain that. So there's no way to get 8 races in division.
It gets better. So now we're going to go and convolute things even worse. Okay. So now, knowing the gray hairs that we've got now on the West Coast, in the Southwest, we have the Master class. Have you guys had a chance to look into the Masters class?
No, I have not seen it.
Yeah, I took a look at that, and that really seemed kind of crazy.
You consult your lawyer before you looked at it, because you have to have a degree in lawology to understand the convoluted math. And once again, they're trying to make it more eligible to go to the runoffs, or they're creating another paper champion, because that's all it is another paper champion. Yeah. Or they're trying to take events that should be dead and breathe one last breath of life into them. Look, if your track sucks and your event sucks, stop having the event. We got too many events. When are they going to try and understand that?
I hate to stir the pot, but some rules just appear to be born from wankers. And so you get a group of wankers together that says, how the hell are we ever going to win something? And voila, you get elected first, and then you make a rule second.
What they need to do is just, national racing needs to be for the top level, and regional racing is just what it is, regional racing. And, stop trying to do all of this stuff to make the national level racing open and the runoffs open to everybody. If you don't have the qualifications, these are the best of the best, and you can't go.
Get rid of national racing altogether. Have one set of racing, and the best of the best get to meet one a year for a national championship. Pro racing, travel, the guys that want to do it are skipping national racing. They're going right into B-Spec, even though I don't like B-Spec. They're going right into the Playboy Cup. They're going to Grand Am. They're going to World Challenge. I'm telling you, I can race a touring car in Grand Am or a touring car in World Challenge less than it cost me for a competitive national effort in Spec Miata. I promise you that.
Yeah. Very close.
All right.
Very close. It's very close.
All right, fellas, we're gonna cut to a break on this one, because we can go on and on. And when we come back, we'll talk about something close and dear to Mike Collinson's heart, B-Spec. We'll be right back.
For over 90 years, an obsession has pushed us to keep improving how our cars look, how they drive, and how they make you feel behind the wheel. It's in our DNA. It drove us to successfully engineer our revolutionary rotary engine, and it's driven us to reimagine the automobile as a whole today. Our goal? Ultimate efficiency. To achieve the unheard of, where fuel economy, low emissions, and outstanding driving performance coexist in cars accessible to everyone. To pull it off meant starting with a clean slate versus carrying over old ideas and parts like everyone else. It meant starting from the ground up and rethinking everything to work together in unprecedented harmony. We call it SkyActiv technology. Imagine an engine that pushes the boundaries of engineering by delivering the compression ratio of a Formula One race car, and 15% more low mid-range torque, yet 15% better fuel economy, all on 87-octane fuel. Imagine an automatic transmission so smart it perfectly rev matches downshifts faster than a dual-clutch transmission. Imagine entirely new bodies, 220 pounds lighter, yet stiffer and stronger than the bodies they replace. We imagined it all, and more, and then we made it a reality. At Mazda, we saw no other choice, committed to lowering fuel consumption and emissions across our entire lineup while refusing to compromise how our cars drive, pushed us to achieve a new standard for all future automobiles. SkyActiv technology from Mazda. Fuel economy, performance, together. The future of driving begins now. We build Mazdas. What do you drive?
Welcome back to Racing No Filters. So we're going to go into a little conversation here about B-Spec. It's something that it seems like Mazda is getting behind 100%. When you say that, Jim?
I would say that. If you just look at this Canadian race that we got a triple header at Mosport, Canadians own fire up there. Canadian Mazda's taking all off with it. And Mike and I have expressed our opinions, maybe bias from our collective disgruntledness from how Spec Series and things have been run. I'm taking a little bit more positive view of it, having been involved with it the last 3 or 4 weeks, certainly since the 25-hour race that we won in an MX5. And it is electric. centric. That's the only way I can say it. The calls that we're getting, everything is about B-Spec, and guys wanting to add on B-Spec and to the program to get more track time in a given weekend for what's going to be half the entry fees of a normal deal in 3 races. So it's looking positive, Mike. But it still needs
my
improvement.
recommendation, I think companies like yours are going to do great. There was Mazda Racers has got a forum, and somebody put up there, of all the different eligible cars, what's the best car to have for B-Spec? And I told them somebody else's rental. And my understanding is you're going gangbusters with that.
That's exactly right. Apparently that worked, and we've got a few of them going. And, we'll wait and see. Here's the deal. No matter whether we like it or not, if it shows up and we have 40-car fields, we're not going to be able to deny its success. The cost
when you have the manufacturers, when you have the manufacturers behind it the way you do, all the different manufacturers seem to be behind it at this point. I just got a call from Mazda USA asking me if I had some footage to help Mazda Canada promote the B-Spec up at the Canadian motorsports show that's going to be happening in February, and I had to ship that off to them. So across the board, even across the border, manufacturers are getting involved. I can't see how this is going to fail. At least. Definitely not within the first year.
You can't deny that. You can't deny that. I'm not a hater when it comes to that. It's just I got a hard time when the manufacturers are looking around and they're putting their most amount of money and their biggest effort into their absolutely cheapest car that some of them don't even sell a sports model of.
So here's a very interesting aspect. I just came from the Autosport International show over in the UK, and I have to say that they're racing there. It's unbelievable how many series they have over there, and their series, their club racing series, our level Spec Miata stuff gets television coverage. It's incredible. But if I look around that floor, the majority of the cars that were there at the club level were the smaller cars. So it seems like the manufacturers are pushing the smaller type of I even saw the smart cars. There's a series for those smart cars to be raced.
I understand, Errol.
So I think
Errol, it's really easy. They don't have football, baseball, and they got some half-ass basketball.
They do have football. They just have British football and European football.
Here's the deal, though. Here's the deal.
Soccer. We call it soccer.
When was the last time, Mike? When was the last time we've had a series that if you win a few races and win a championship, you're going to pay for your season? Tell me another road racing series that you can earn enough prize money and contingency to pay for the season.
I heard a rumor what you were charging for rentals. There ain't no way in hell you're going to pay for a season with that price.
Well, our fees, we have to build a car. This is a new series. There's no rentals sitting around, so it's you got to absorb the cost of a car.
Living. More power to you if you can do that.
But 9 races, you can win $60,000 in 9 races. Just what other series do we have that does that?
You can win $60,000 in 9 races, and if I was a Jim Daniels Signature Series customer, that would get me to about race 3.
Well, it's not that much, but anyone can call me. We can discuss that. But you'll be able to cover, if you're good enough, you'll be able to cover the cost of it. And there's no other series that does that. There's guys spending $100,000 to race a club car with no contingency whatsoever.
I think it's a value, Jim. I know that racing a touring car is somewhere around $225,000 to upwards of $300,000 a year. I understand that. And I understand it's pro racing and there's contingency involved. And I do think it's a value. I think they can do it with another. And I'm not saying the cars they chose are bad. I just think people are going to look at it very quickly as disposable cars, as the manufacturers are very likely to change these models very quickly to keep interest. And it's going to be very expensive to always have a current body style.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Right now, as long as the phone rings, we have to do what the clients want, and it seems to be what's popular. It certainly has a lot of buzz, doesn't it?
The series has had traction for almost 3 years now, from inception to actually getting ready to hit the track. And Honda was one of the first manufacturers on board, and the fit is starting to get long in the tooth. It's going to go through a refresh before that car ever hits the track.
Yeah, it was Honda and Mazda who came together to actually bring out the first set of rules to bring this to fruition. So,
exactly right. At the 25 hours there, flog the car. Let's don't forget that the Kia was allowed, and there was one been built, and that car should be running in touring car. I just want to put that out there so we can get some posts and comments back about how much of an overdog that Kia is.
A lot of people think that the Kia is going to be the sleeper, and they're going to have to reel that back in later in the year because coming out the box.
It's just like Spec Miata.
It makes
how come all them guys with 99 qualify up front.
Hey, it makes 156 horsepower through a 1-inch restrictor plate. So I think we got a problem. Mission control to ground control.
All right, fellas, let's take a break here, and then we'll come back for some more. With so much racing going on in the world, you'd have to be a four-headed monster to keep up with it all. Luckily, we have that. Join Peter Keene, Bill Wood, Errol Tucker, and their guest driver analyst each week for an opinionated look at the news coming out of the racing world. Remember, it's GoRacingTV.com for all your racing and video needs. Welcome back to Racing No Filters. So, something that I think we should, we've been talking about these B-Spec cars and so on and so forth, but, I think something that's worth talking about is, the MX5 and how, you, Mike, you're building a bunch of them, not necessarily to go MX5 Cup racing, but, now that SCCA has opened it up to so many other classes, that car seems to be pretty popular.
The car is really popular. I know Jim's got some experience with it. He's going to share that. SM5 got put in the GCR last year, and it was put in the GCR for two reasons. It gives a place for older Playboy MX5 Cup cars to land with very little modifications, change the suspension kit, add a hardtop, open tire, you're ready to go racing. The rest of the car is sealed just like the Cup car. Guys in Spec Miata, the formula was popular. Tighten up the rules a little bit, go spec racing. Here's a place for guys to graduate. We've built 14 of these cars, and not from scratch. Some of them we've bought some Playboy Cup cars that were just kind of sitting around that people had forgotten about, and we got a good value on those. And then we've done some ground-up builds as well. So, that's it. But now the car can run an SM5, STL. You can swap the motor out for a bigger Mazda MZR engine, so you can get up to the 2.5-liter engine in it. I've even heard rumors that some teams have gone and put the 2.3-liter turbocharged engine in it out of the Mazda Speed 3, and you can run that in STU as well. There's a lot of options. I know, Jim, you just raced one with some success.
That's right. We won the 25-hour in the EO class with the one with the 2.5 motor in it, and I'm going to tell you that car is so versatile in that the powertrains can be swapped between the turbo car, the 2.5, and then any combination of the 2.3 and the 2-liter for stroker motors with just a reflash on the same computer. It's becoming that tuner car, and that they've opened this up for so many classes. Before you were dead. One of the downfalls of MX5 Cup was you had a $55,000-$60,000 car before you really did any double top secret prep on one. You had $5,000 or $6,000 more of the finite prep on a car, and it was like old showroom stock cars where you couldn't put the airbags back in them. You had no place to go. Well, now, like Mike said, it's real easy. This car not only has one class to go to, you can run it in performance touring in NASA, you can run it in the E endurance classes at the 25-hour with just a shock and not even having to do an engine. We were leading the race in our straight MX5 Cup car with the hardtop, just like that, leading the race and dominating. We had a mechanical, and all you'd have to do is take the top back off to run it in MX5 Cup. And so
It's funny that you say that, because I remember 2 years ago I went to my first rallycross event in New Jersey Motorsports Park, and if you know anything about rallycross, they were on the track for pavement, they were on the dirt, and there was a couple of old MX5 Cup cars that were out there competing, and they did fairly well, but I spoke to them, I said, you're bringing this car out and you're putting this through its paces out here, and it was like, if I don't run MX5, then where do I go with this car? So now
That's right. Hey, a million of those stories. When I tried to sell my MX5 Cup car, I wound up selling it to Neil Sapp, and it was a big hang up in the process to say, what would we do? What's the contingent plan for the car? Mike and I, that's in this show, we worked hard on those rules and on the politics to give that car a place to go. And just as the time that rules come about, everybody just kind of opened up for the car to be able to run everywhere. I'm going to predict that car is going to be the most popular club car in 5 years, and that if me and Mike have our way, we're going to have those cars running in a specific class at Pikes Peak.
Oh, I no doubt about it, Jim. Do you know where this car got tripped up a little bit, and you were party to it, and you're probably more familiar than I am. You know, this car had the potential to be a dominant factor in showroom stock, and it was for such a very brief period of time that unfortunately another major manufacturer came in and didn't want to see another generations of Miata have a 4 or 5 year run in showroom stock. They pulled some strings, put some money in. Whatever they did, the Mazda got hamstrung. All of a sudden, the other model looked a lot better. They don't even make that model anymore. You know, I think the SCCA, in its infinite wisdom and its quick to pick up a buck or whatever the behind-the-scenes cronyism was with it, you know, had this car had the run it should have had in showroom stock, I don't think we would have waited this long to see this car blossom like it is.
That's right. And you know you're talking about me. It's 07. We built the car to the rules. We had the kit approved. We won the division. We won the June sprints 6-8 weeks before the runoffs. Myself and Laura both were told our cars were ineligible. We both got nice compensation checks at the end of the day. A little known secret that most people don't know about what the club does when they make mistakes. But it was devastating. We put a lot of time and energy in it, and we finally had a Miata that was going to be capable of being towards the front of the field on a horsepower track like Road America, and they cut us off at the knees. It was hard pill to swallow, and in fact I think it pretty much I haven't done anything but pro SCCA racing since that decision, except my beloved ARC, which we don't consider that an SCCA race.
Well, right, I think the club, you know, hamstrung another what could have been, you know, another, you know, era of dominance where you know, the MX5, the modern Miata 2006 up could have had a nice 3-4, you know, still be running in showroom stock. I think kind of that era is what killed showroom stock when they started gerrymandering the rules to make it, you know, a car of the year, a car to have.
Gotcha. All right, gentlemen, we're gonna have to cut this one short. I wanted to make just a couple announcements. Obviously,
hey, Errol,
the new site, by the way, the new
site looks great. I'm loving the uploads of my videos. Thanks. I'm fixing to populate that thing with JD.
Cool. Appreciate that. Yeah, we took a lot of time trying to, you know, redo the site and make it user-friendly, and we have a new user video section. People can upload their stuff, so that's really great. So definitely tune in. Gentlemen, any last closing thoughts before we go?
With the new site, I want people to tune in and read my blog. If they love my rants on here, they're going to love my rants in my new blog. It's named Red Tape, because we just cut right through the red tape and the BS. We just tell people the way it is. So, you know, come check out my blog. Good. The first one will be around. Going to try to post every Wednesday.
And look for my quotes. I'm going to make sure to give you all the quotes you asked for, Mike.
All right, gentlemen. Thanks a lot. And folks out there, as always, thanks for tuning in. And be sure to tune in next week where you can hear what we have to say with no filters.